there's 5 things I think you should know about the upcoming 30% federal tax credit that applies towards electric bikes. This is perfect timing. U.S. Air Force. U.S. Air Force. We don't have all of the information yet. Everything we have is based on this press release here. It's only 2 pages. I can read you the first paragraph. It says, today, Congressman Jimmy Panetta and Congressional Bike Caucus Chairman Earl Blumenauer introduced the Electric Bicycle Incentive Kickstart for the Environment, stands for E.B.I.K.E, clever, Act to encourage the use of electric bicycles or e-bikes through a consumer tax credit. Due to the distance, speed, and ease by which they can travel,
that was easy.
E-bikes will help replace vehicle trips and commutes and reduce carbon emissions. Of course, there's the big push that will probably get this through, is the carbon emissions. And then this giant paragraph right here is basically a link to a study about that. The rest of the press release are basically quotes from bicycle organizations around the country that support the 30% tax credit. There's not a lot of meat or substance to this press release, but I'm going to share what we do know and a little bit of speculation about whether or not I think this is going to actually happen. Number one, and I think the most important thing to understand, is what is a federal tax credit? If you've never used one, then it may be a little bit confusing. Does that mean you actually get 30% off the cost of the bike when you purchase it? No. So this is something that you need to be aware of. How do you actually apply or take advantage of this if it goes into effect? Now, I have actually purchased and leased some electric vehicles, and there are federal tax credits, so I'm familiar with how the process works for those. I'm going to assume this is going to be very similar. Let's say you have a bicycle that costs $1,500. You're going to get 30% as a tax credit. That means that you're going to have to pay the full retail price of the bike when you buy it. However, when you go to file your taxes, you can basically claim, there'll be some new form probably to fill out that says, I bought an electric bike, here's what the value was. You will get a deduction or a credit when you file your taxes. So in other words, if you're getting a tax refund for the year, then you're going to get more of a refund because of the electric bike. If you are having to pay taxes, then you'll get a little bit of that bill knocked off. So you don't get the advantage of a tax credit right up front when you buy a bike, but you do get the advantage when you file your taxes. So I am interested to see if this increases bike sales in December, if we have people who are trying to reduce their taxes, are considering an e-bike, and that might push them over the edge right before the end of the year. Number two, there is a limit to the maximum amount of money you can get back, and that is $1,500, which is quite a lot. So it's 30% or $1,500. Of course, I had to do a little bit of math and figure out what then is the best absolute bang for the buck on an electric bike.
Now, if you invest in a 24-piece set, I'm gonna throw in a little gift.
So what's the gift?
Assuming this tax credit is available, so if you were to buy a $5,000 bicycle, the math comes out to where you would be able to get the full $1,500 credit. You would basically cut the cost of that bike after you file your taxes down to $3,500. That is, in my opinion, a steal if that works out. So that is the best bang for your buck, is a $5,000 e-bike and taking full advantage of the tax credit. And number three, there is an upper limit as well. Basically, if you're gonna spend this much money, then maybe you just don't need a tax credit, and that is the upper limit is proposed to be $8,000. So if you're gonna buy a stealth bomber that's $10,000, that's not going to apply because it is too much money. Since I mentioned the stealth bike and that'd be over the limit, there has been some mention that it would apply to bikes that are 750 watts or less. That makes perfect sense because federally, the laws all pertain to electric bicycles, say 750 watts. Number 4, there is a little bit of vague wording that says this will apply for lower income. It doesn't say what that is, what it means, so there may be some sort of income cap where you cannot take advantage of this. The only downside I see to that is that personally, I think 95% of my customers are either retired, semi-retired. Are they going to be able to take advantage of this if there's an income limit? I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see what's actually in the bill because we don't have that text yet. And finally, number 5, what is that actually going to do to the market of electric bikes? There's already a shortage. We already have trouble getting parts and pieces. So if there is a tax incentive to buy, is that going to make more people buy electric bikes? And I'm going to say yes, that makes perfect sense. There are a bunch of organizations that already support this proposed bill before the press release came out. So obviously there's been a lot of discussion about it behind the scenes. I did reach out to by phone. I tried to call quite a few of those organizations on the list that had phone numbers listed. Unfortunately, none of them picked up, so I couldn't get any more details on it. However, I don't think it's a coincidence that just a couple of weeks ago, Rad Power took $150 million in investment money. It just seems a little odd to me that a bunch of money was dumped into a big e-bike company literally days before a proposed federal tax credit is released. Maybe this wasn't the entire reason for that, but it probably was a tidbit. Do I think this is going to happen? Yes. Do I have any idea when it's going to happen? Absolutely not. If you're going to buy an e-bike, I would just say the same thing I've said before. I wouldn't wait because demand is high, inventory is low, and it's still going to be challenging over the next year or so, and this is only going to make it more difficult. I've seen a few comments from people that are saying, why are we introducing a 30% tax credit on electric bicycles when they primarily come from China? That doesn't make sense. It's like we're subsidizing Chinese manufacturing. There's a lot of different opinions on whether this is good or bad overall. And the only thing I can say in regards to that is that we are slowly working on and developing more US products.
USA! All the way!
This is something that has been requested a lot by email and in my channel. It's not available yet, but many of you can probably guess what this is going to be for. We are ramping up production on this. We make this here in-house at Bolton e-bikes, and once we have a supply built up, these will be available for sale. So more on that soon. We are finally stocking the handlebar jack. I did a review on this product quite some time ago. There is a new updated version. So I plan on doing a separate video on this to give you all of the updates, but this is another product that is made in the USA. And finally, I brought up one of the Warthog bikes because these are on the water and they're almost here to the US. If you're still in the market for an electric bike, then make sure to go watch my other video, 10 things to know before buying an e-bike, because all of that information still applies.